Buenos días, good morning. I'm José Ramón González, soy José Ramón González, uno de los miembros designados por el presidente de Estados Unidos a la Junta de Supervisión Fiscal de Puerto Rico. A few words in Spanish, then we'll move on to English. El resto de los miembros me ha pedido que inicie la reunión y les dé a todos la bienvenida a la primera reunión de la Junta de Supervisión Fiscal para Puerto Rico. Como todos ustedes saben, los documentos que se van a estar discutiendo están disponibles en inglés y español, en general en el website de la Junta, que está disponible en inglés y en español, y la reunión en sí será transmitida en vivo a través del website. Again, I'm Jose Gonzalez. I'm one of the members of the board. The other members have asked me to open the meeting. Welcome you all to this first meeting of the Financial Oversight and Management Board for Puerto Rico. The documents which we will be discussing are generally available in Spanish and English at the board's website, and the meeting itself will be transmitted live, is being transmitted live through the board's website. The website addresses in Spanish and English are listed in the auditorium projection. I will conduct a roll call to determine the existence of a quorum and initiate the meeting. Andrew Biggs.
Present.
Jose Carrion.
Present.
Carlos Garcia.
Present.
Arthur Gonzalez.
Present.
Ana Matosantos.
Present.
David Skeel.
Present.
The Governor of Puerto Rico is an ex officio member of the board, but he has notified us of his delegation of his presence on the board to his representative, Richard Ravitch.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Skeel, I will ask you if you can serve as Secretary Pro Tem for this meeting.
Yes, I can.
Thank you very much. The board, as you know, has been established under the Puerto Rico Oversight, Management, and Economic Stability Act, and its purpose is to provide a way for Puerto Rico to achieve fiscal equilibrium in a sustainable manner and restore its access to the capital markets. The board is tasked with working with the people of Puerto Rico, with the people and the government of Puerto Rico to create the needed foundation for economic growth and development. The purpose of today's meeting is to authorize some important initial actions that are required under PROMESA and are critical to the functioning of the board. We have 6 agenda items, including 5 matters which require a board approval, and each of those will require an affirmative vote of no fewer than 4 voting board members to pass. The first matter is the election of the board's chairperson. Section 101E4 of PROMESA provides that the voting members of the board shall designate one of its members as the chair, and the board's bylaws, as proposed, state that the term of the chair shall be for 2 years. Our first order of business will be to elect the chair. I will open the nominations process. Any nominations, please?
I nominate Jose Carrion to be the chair of the board.
Mr. Carrion, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Any other nominations for chairman of the board? Hearing no other nominations, I hereby declare the nominations closed. We will then vote for the chair. No, I'm sorry.
Need a second.
Do we have a second for the nomination?
I second the motion.
Very good. Andrew seconds the motion. We will move to voting by a show of hands. In favor of the nominee for chair of the board? I see a unanimous vote of the voting members of the board. All the members have any objections? None noted. All the members having voted in favor of the motion, Mr. Carrion has been elected chair, and I will now like to extend my congratulations and turn over the meeting to him. Mr. Carrion.
Thank you, Jose Ramon. I want to thank you and my colleagues for this great honor. We will strive to work in a collegial manner for the benefit of the people of Puerto Rico. Let's move forward with the agenda and the adoption of the board bylaws. But before I do that, I would like to thank Professor Skeel and Judge Gonzalez for their work regarding this issue. It was done well in an expedited manner, so thank you very much. The members have been previously provided with the proposed bylaws, and a copy is also available if you wish to review it again. I would like to request Professor Skeel to provide a summary of said bylaws, and Judge Gonzalez.
All right, thank you. I wanted to speak briefly about the thinking of the board in drafting the bylaws and in other matters. We are acutely aware of the importance of transparency and consensus in actions in establishing the credibility of this board. We have a great deal of work to do to continue to advance this goal, and we are making every effort to do so as expeditiously as we can. We welcome and encourage your comments and suggestions in this and other matters. We will continue to work to enhance methods and means of communications, as indicated today by your access to our website and other information thereon. I now turn it over to Professor Skeel to give a summary of the bylaws.
Thank you, Judge Gonzalez. Our bylaws are our general operating rules, essentially. Rather than go through the document, which, as Judge Gonzalez said, is on our website now, so anybody who's interested can look at it, I'll just say a word about the general principle we used in putting the bylaws together and highlight a couple of the significant provisions in the bylaws. The general operating principle we used was we wanted everything to be consistent with the Act, consistent with PROMESA. So the bylaws are framed by the statute itself. We've incorporated a lot of the statute into the bylaws, but everything is meant to be consistent with PROMESA. The key adjustments that we made primarily have to do with the voting rules in a couple of places. We've clarified a little bit, and in a couple places we've increased the voting rules. So for all of the major decisions that we make, ordinarily we're going to require that there be 4 votes of the 7 of us for any of those decisions to go through, except in places where the Act requires a different, particularly a higher vote. So the idea is if for some reason not all of us can be at a meeting, we still are going to require 4 votes, a majority of the full board, not just a majority of the number of directors or board members who happen to be at the meeting. So it's a 4-vote requirement we've put in. The other big change we've made, or a significant change we've made in the voting, is that with several of the appointments, in particular the executive director and the general counsel, we're going to require that the chair plus 4 members of the board approve those appointments. So effectively, it's a 5-vote requirement. There are 2 reasons for this. One is those are going to be extraordinarily important appointments. The executive director and our general counsel are going to have an enormous workload. They're going to be very, very important, and so we want to make sure that we have a supermajority of us on board with those appointments. It also is consistent with the general desire to operate with as much consensus as we can within the board, given the magnitude of the challenge we have in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Skeel. Does anybody have any questions regarding the proposed bylaws? Do I have a motion to approve the bylaws?
Yes, I move to adopt the bylaws for the board in the form presented at this meeting.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Show of hands in favor of approving the bylaws? Excellent. Moving on. The request for the fiscal plan and other information from the governor of Puerto Rico. Before I do, I'd like to state that we as a board are making every effort to meet our obligations to complete the fiscal plan certification process and engage in good faith negotiations under the Act. Okay? One of the duties of the board, section 210A, is to provide a schedule to the governor of Puerto Rico for the process of development, submission, approval, and certification of fiscal plans for the government of Puerto Rico, and for covered territorial instrumentalities, and to consult with the governor in establishing said schedule. In preparing to provide that schedule, and in the spirit of cooperation and in the exercise of the board's right under section 104C to obtain information necessary to carry out our responsibilities, we believe it appropriate that we first request certain periodic information from the government of Puerto Rico. The initial request of information from the government of Puerto Rico's central government is as follows. Weekly cash flow report, including all revenues received and all expenses paid, including any debt service, and broken down by main categories. Monthly downloads of bank account data and statements of all principal banking accounts, provided directly to the board by each bank. Monthly and year-to-date report of compliance with current approved budget by budgetary fund and by agency, including local special funds and federal funds. Monthly and year-to-date detailed report of revenues and a narrative about collection efforts and main initiatives of the Puerto Rico Treasury Department. Monthly detailed payroll report by agency. Monthly reports on federal funds received and dispersed by area and by agency. Monthly report of all debt obligations due this current fiscal year and which have been paid. Quarterly report on each agency's productivity and performance with appropriate metrics and narrative description. Quarterly report on any key Puerto Rico economic, financial, social, and labor statistics. I'd like to open this up for discussion and thoughts with regards to the timetable before we put this to the governor. Any comments?
Sounds like slavery to me.
Any comments from the board?
So I think this is a very complete and listing of information that is required and reasonable for the board to do its job and to begin to gather the information necessary for decisions we may make. So it seems reasonable and appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other further comments from the board? There being no further comments, I would now like to move that in connection with the board's responsibilities under the Act with respect to fiscal plans, the board requests the governor of Puerto Rico to provide, 1, the board with the fiscal plan for the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico by no later than October 14th, for the governor or his representative to present such a fiscal plan at the next board meeting to be held in October. And lastly, for the governor to provide the information previously listed as may be modified by the board from time to time, initially as of September 30th with a delivery date of the end of October or as such other time agreed with the board, and thereafter with periodicity requested by the board. Would anybody second this motion?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Show of hands, affirmative vote. Thank you. All members having voted in favor of the motion has passed. Now let's move on to the process, to establish a process for the search of the board's executive director and certain other key personnel. A process which we will endeavor to do as expeditiously as possible. And we would like to begin that process with by stating that Section 103 requires that the executive director be appointed by the chair with the consent of the oversight board. The bylaws define the executive director's role, stating that he or she shall execute instructions of the board and essentially be a full-time chief executive of the board, and subject to supervision and control of the board, and shall have general supervision and direction of the business affairs of the board. PROMESA establishes in Section 5.2 that under the board, The position of the revitalization coordinator will be a central figure in the development of infrastructure revitalization projects. Promesa requires that the coordinator be appointed by the governor, and the board submit at least 3 nominees for the position. The bylaws require that the board have a general counsel who shall be the chief legal officer of the board and have such other duties as may be assigned by the board and executive director. Promesa makes it clear that the executive director may hire additional staff from time to time with the approval of the board. Given the importance of this matter and the deadline involved, I believe it is appropriate, and I'm asking for approval to engage an executive search firm to assist the board to identify qualified candidates for the executive director and other key positions, including but not limited to the coordinator and the general counsel. To those ends, I would like to create a committee composed of 3 other board members, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Gonzalez, and Ms. Matos Santos, and me, to identify the appropriate firm or firms and conduct a search process for these positions. Before engaging the firm, we will seek the consent of the committee, describing generally the scope of services and of the compensation of said firm. Any thoughts regarding this issue before we put it to a vote? There being...
You have no right to do this. You have no right to impose your laws.
Se acabaron las promesas. No to these asshole promises. You guys are raping Puerto Rico. You're pillaging Puerto Rico. Shame on all of you. You're wanting Mr. Carrion for crimes against Puerto Rico. Shame on all of you. Stop pillaging Puerto Rico. Stop pillaging Puerto Rico. Se acabaron las promesas. No to the promises. No to stop the rape of Puerto Rico. Our people do not deserve that. $4.27 is slavery. Stop pillaging Puerto Rico.
This is slavery. We will not put up with it. Our country will resist. You should know we will resist.
Any...
Shame on you guys.
They're shame. They're zealots, every one of them.
Any thoughts regarding the issues that I just pleaded out by the from the board?
Mr. Chair, it makes sense to me that we'd move forward in this matter so that we can move forward with our duties as expeditiously as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Matos Santo. There being no further discussion, would someone like to make a motion?
I would like to move that a committee of the board be created for the executive searches composed of the chair and board members Carlos Garcia, Jose Gonzalez, and Ana Matos Santos, and that the chair be authorized to seek and engage an executive search firm or firms which will identify qualified candidates for the key executive positions, including but not limited to executive director, revitalization coordinator, and general counsel, provided that prior to engagement, the chair first receives the written consent of the majority of the members of the committee to the firms or firms selected, and the compensation to be paid to the firm or firms selected.
Thank you, Mr. Biggs. Does anybody second the motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Judge Gonzalez. May I have a show of hands for that motion, please? Thank you very much. Shall we move to other administrative matters? Until the executive director is recruited, it is important for the board to be able to contact services needed to organize, support, and carry out the responsibilities required by the board, such as open bank accounts, sign leases, contracts, implement reimbursement policies, and conduct any other official business, including the ability to retain counsel required to attend immediate matters. Ana, do you have Ms. Matos Santos, do you have
Yeah, thanks for acknowledging me to speak. Mr. Chair, I move to grant the chair the power to contract for services needed to organize, support, and carry the responsibilities required of the board, open bank accounts, sign leases, sign contracts, implement reimbursement policies, retain professional advisors as needed, including counsel to address matters that require immediate attention, and conduct any other official business of the board.
Thank you, Mrs. Matos Santos. Before we move on before I ask that the motion be seconded, I wanted to take a moment to thank the Department of Treasury for their technical assistance, the good people of the GSA for their assistance, and finally, Mr. Garcia for his technical support in the last few days, made this meeting possible. Does anybody second this motion?
I'd like to second the motion.
Great, just a show of hands to see. All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add also our thanks to the government of Puerto Rico for their assistance with the website and other matters related to making this.
Well
happen.
said, thank you. All right, please note that Mr. Gonzalez has stepped out. Our final agenda item will be the initial designation of covered entities under PROMESA. And here I'd like to also thank Ms. Matos Santos' work in assisting and Mr. Garcia's work in assisting in putting together this list for the board. The statute states that Section 101D, that the board may designate any Puerto Rico instrumentality as a covered territorial instrumentality, which will be subject to the requirements of the statute. An instrumentality is defined as Section 519 as any political subdivision, public agency, instrumentality, or public corporation of Puerto Rico. The board members have previously been provided a list entitled Covered Entities under PROMESA Act, showing those instrumentalities which are being proposed to be designated as covered territorial instrumentalities. And that list is here at the meeting if you would like to view it again. Any discussion regarding this issue?
If I may, Mr. Chair, just want to share the list of the covered entities that before the motion is presented. So the initial proposed list of covered entities will be the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the Employees Retirement System and the Judiciary Retirement System, the Teachers Retirement System, the University of Puerto Rico, and then all the public corporations of Puerto Rico, including but not limited to the Aqueduct and Sewer Authority, the Children Trust Fund, the Convention Center District Authority, the Economic Development Bank, the Electric Power Authority, the Fiscal Agency and Financial Advisory Authority, the Government Development Bank, Highway and Transportation Authority, Housing Finance Authority, Industrial Development Company, Infrastructure Finance Authority, Municipal Finance Authority, Ports Authority, Public Buildings Authority, Public Broadcasting Corporation, Public Corporations for the Supervision and Insurance of Cooperativas, better known as COSEC, Public Finance Corporation, Sales Tax Financing Corporation, State Insurance Fund Corporation, UPR, Plaza Universitaria, and tourism companies. All the entities that are affiliated with or are subsidiaries of the entities listed above, as well as the entities that succeeded these entities, are also designated and as covered entities and subject to the oversight of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I'd like to put a motion on the table for approval.
Mr. Chair, if I may, on the rationale, a little bit before we get to the motion, if that's acceptable?
Absolutely.
I think this approach that that Mr. Garcia has outlined, of kind of a broad capturing of the different cover entities, is reasonable and wise, given the interrelatedness of the financing for different entities and the budget situation in Puerto Rico, and focusing on all entities at the Commonwealth level, but including the initial fiscal plan in a more focused manner with things that are directly related to the budget is appropriate and will be helpful to the board's work, particularly given the information we have received. So I'm very supportive of this approach, and also think we should consider if there are other entities that we need to be looking at and other financial situations that are potentially subject to the board's oversight that need to be included in the future. But as an initial designation, this kind of holistic approach that focuses on the Commonwealth-wide entities and related public corporations seems appropriate and warranted.
Thank you, Ms. Matos Santos. A motion to approve covered entities under the PROMESA Act.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would like to move that the entities shown on the list presented at this meeting and entitled covered entities under the PROMESA Act, as I have read them and are provided in the website both in English and Spanish, be designated covered territorial instrumentalities subject to PROMESA.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Does anybody second the motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Matos Santos. Show of hands in favor. Anybody opposed? Thank you very much. Since we have no other matters to cover, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Judge Gonzalez. If we'll be available for the press after the meeting. Thank you very much for coming.